Hi, welcome to episode 15 of Murder's a Drag with moi, Aura Van Dank. I finally got that new camera, new microphone. We have a full new setup. Hopefully this video is gonna come out as good as I think it's gonna come out because I saved up for a long time for this camera and I'm really excited to finally be using it and finally be making a video with it. Whoop. Before I get into this week's video, I just wanted to go ahead and give my sources for last week. I need to get better at remembering to do that before my videos. Last week I used The Guardian, The Atlantic, The New York Times, and a website called DNAinfo.com because Mark was a hard dude to track down. And this week I used problematic articles from People, Crime Watch, True Crime Daily, and KLTV. Every single article that I used misgendered the murder victim at least once, but also correctly gendered the victim in the same article, showing me that they knew their gender but didn't care enough to edit and go back through, or either way, not acceptable. I've been trying different methods of taking these eyebrows off because they're so stubborn. So this week it's handy dandy Charmin and Dawn dish soap and water. Ty Lee Underwood was born October 24th in Angelina County, Texas. It's very rural, very southern, very Bible Belty. It's really out there in the sticks. Ty grew up in a tiny city named Lufkin. Corey McCoy, the reporter that wrote for that Crime Watch episode and article, he described it as the buckle of the Bible Belt. So you gotta imagine the real center of that conservative, very Christian, not safe area for LGBT people to be living in. He also said that the community there, the LGBT community there, was generally quiet and withdrawn because they didn't feel safe, because it was such a hostile area for them to grow up in and to live in. So it's really no surprise that at 24 years old, Ty decides she's gonna get the heck out of there and move on up to the closest big city to her. She went to Tyler, Texas. According to some of the friends that Ty made in Tyler, Texas, she really took a 180 with her personality when she moved there. She went from this really withdrawn person to somebody who was outgoing and ready to experience life to the fullest, living it finally as her genuine self. Her friends described her as having no fear, especially no fear of people not accepting her for who she was. Less than 3 months after moving into this new city and making some friends and getting settled into a social life, moving in with her best friend, she meets a guy named Carlton Champion Jr., who is a freshman at Texas College in this city and is a star football player at the college. Carlton had somewhat of a troubled youth. He got into a lot of trouble, but towards the end of high school, because of his football talent, everybody finally helped him kind of get his together and get accepted into Texas College and become a football player there. And that's really the only reason that his life turned around. Which is unfortunate because you should be willing to help any child regardless of whether or not you deem that they have your version of potential. But don't have too much pity because Carlton is a full-on and I personally lived with a college football player my freshman year of college, and they're held to this not strange, it makes perfect sense, held to this higher standard and put on this pedestal where they can do very little wrong and pretty much get away with any kind of they want to get away with in college. And that mentality was instilled into Carlton when he was still in high school. No shade to my ex-roommate, but you know it's true, Jamie. Being the star football player that he was in such a small community, Carlton was quickly kind of put onto this celebrity status, and he had all eyes on him while he was playing, while he was in school, at school, in class, and just around town. So he's just egotistical, always kind of arrogant, basically like every guy I've ever dated. Ty met Carlton sometime around January while she was living with her roommate Kenya back in 2015. Ty's best friend Kenya remembers Carlton staying the night 2 or 3 times while she was living in that apartment with her, which kind of seems to me like it was a relationship. They were obviously together. It's also pretty clear from the text history that Carlton had Ty under the impression that they had something of an exclusive relationship. Ty didn't trust that because, like all of us, she probably's heard that a million times before. So clearly this is where they start to develop those problems. But Ty never left because Carlton was always very insistent on keeping their relationship and very clear to her that he did not want her to break up with him and he did not want to break up with her. So it's January 25th around 8:30 p.m. and Ty and Carlton have just made some plans to see each other later that night. So they kind of make their plans and they're, see you later, talk to you later, whatever. Midnight rolls around. Ty has yet to hear from Carlton, so once again, she's been stood up. And from the messages that she sends him, it's pretty clear this isn't the first time this has happened, and very clear that she is sick of it and she's done being treated this way, and she tells him that it's over, she doesn't want to see him anymore. Carlton texted back defending himself, saying that he fell asleep, he didn't see her messages, and he said, quote, "That's how it is now, ? I'll make it up to you." Our girl Ty responds with some receipts and says, you were not asleep. You read my message on Kik at 11 p.m. And we all remember Kik. It says R, check mark, when it's read. And it'll say D or S for delivered or sent. So she knew she had the receipts and she wasn't having the lies anymore. She was over it. And she told him, I'm coming up there. I'm coming to the school. I'm on my way. We're going to talk about this. It's over. It's done. I'm not the kind of girl that's going to break up with you over text. It's over. Let's make it be over. Carlton now very quickly texted back all caps, "No, you're not!" ! And didn't receive a text back until the message that eventually ends him up in police custody is sent from Ty's phone to Carlton's phone that says, "I'm here." So sometime between 1:26 a.m. when the "I'm here" text was delivered and 2:36 a.m. Ty met Carlton on 25th Street, which is right near Texas College. Carlton gets into Ty's car and they start talking, and at some point he pulls out a gun and begins firing shots at Ty from right next to her in the passenger seat of her car. So she's been shot 4 times. Her lungs are punctured, she's bleeding, and she begins to drive to try to flee from her attacker. She drives her car up onto a curb in an attempt to escape. All the while, Carlton is still firing shots at the outside of the car. She gets the back wheels stuck in some mud, puts the car in reverse, but bleeds out before she's able to escape. Carlton immediately fled the scene, and a neighbor saw the car and said her grandkids heard the shots, so she called the police. When they arrive, police initially suspect that it was a car accident, but don't understand why there's so much blood inside the vehicle when the vehicle didn't even hit the telephone pole that it had come close to. When they got closer, they realized that the radio wasn't working.